I love it. I love what's going on, guys. I'm here. I'm just reading. It's awesome. Unfortunate to be British or French right now, or just in the European Union, or just in Europe in general. Where is it? I will be looking at the chat in a minute, guys. If there are people here. If there's no people here, then I hate everyone. And it's gay. What's going on, bro? I said something really funny on the internet, so I've been dealing with that. My goal is to be Ligma. What'd you say? I said the truth. Essentially, essentially, I made a list of things that French people should do. They should be pissed that chat control is not a good idea, and like Europe should do major start doing major changes to their life in order to increase their privacy. Hey, I was wondering, have you ever taken psychedelics? No, no, God, no. Oh my God, fuck no. Oh no, man. How? Oh, woo, that would be a bad idea. But essentially, that people in Europe should start taking steps to ensure their privacy and security. If chat control does happen, they should start finding alternative methods that allow them to stay private and as secure as possible and reject this type of surveillance. Essentially, I think it's not heading in the right. Didn't expect that response. Yeah, I know most people don't. Oh no, God, be such a bad idea. I don't know. It just sounds like a terrible, terrible time. I mean, I'm actually, I mean, I think all drugs should be legal, personally. I saw a thread in X about what people in France should do, and I'll send the link. If the thread is not an FBI honey, if the thread is not an FBI honeypot, it's me. If it's a Monero Chan girl, it's me. uh, this is what I mean. People should do in France. They should start using Monero because I think it has a high chance of, especially if you can run your own node. Running your own node is so easy, and I need to like, if I could blast anything in the world, is run your own node. Or just connect to maybe like, or do us none. Yeah, I mean, I'll smoke weed every now and then. I think weed's cool. Weed, I mean, weed, weed fucking, weed fucks me, gets me high. So, psychedelics would be worse. Weed fucking gets me like zooted. The first thing was about using Monero, so when you just say that, yeah, drop the link. I think they should use Monero. I think they should switch to Nostr if they need to, because Nostr is like really decentralized. Nostr does have some privacy problems because you are trusting the relay operators, but the thing is, like, relay operators, you need to trust them, but you can run your own relay. The issue is, like, I understand that you can't self-host it. You can't self-host everything. It's not possible. There's some countries that have laws. There's an expense to it. There's an ongoing cost to it. And we're going to talk about something that I'm currently 3 months off weed. That's probably good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being, like, sober. I think sobriety's fine. Sobriety's actually, like, a good thing. It's just, I don't think I could be sober forever. I mean, that sounds terrible, but I think I think it's good to like stop doing something. If you feel like you're also not being like productive or anything, I think that is probably a good thing. I'll smoke like every like once in a great while, but again, I mean I'm glad I don't live in a fucking country where I can get executed for smoking weed. I think that's insane. There's countries out there where they think that you should get executed for a little bit of weed is fucking crazy. That's what I'm saying, man. America's got its problems, but goddamn. I was just super attached to it and wanted to feel like I'm okay with it. Yeah. Weed can definitely be fucking, what do you call it? Weed can 100% be, what's the word I'm looking for? Codependent. Yeah. Or for spitting gum on the ground. That I don't know about. But, I mean, who knows? I don't live in a, actually, yeah, you can. I don't like talking to weed heads for two reasons. They don't want to admit it's a drug. They say it's a flower or it's medicine, and I think that's just stupid language. It's a drug. It's fine. Not all drugs are bad. Because if that's true, then heroin's fucking. I should be doing heroin. You know what I mean? Yeah, Singapore's the one for weed too. That's crazy. Wow, it sounds like a nightmare living in Singapore, actually. I don't give a fuck how safe it is or how fast their internet is. They have really fast internet out there, apparently. Yeah, Singapore, they give you the death penalty for like a very minute amount of weed. It's crazy. And they don't fuck around. But I digress. Yeah, so I don't like talking to weed people for two reasons. They don't want to admit it's a drug, and they don't want to admit that you can get addicted to it. It's not the same addiction as crack. It's not the same addiction as alcohol. It's not the same addiction as anything else. But they don't want to admit that there are any negatives of weed. They think it's this all cure, all great, all knowing, all powerful fucking drug, or it's not a drug though. You know, in their brains. I just hate talking to weed people. They're fucking almost out of touch. I've always said weed's a drug. I'm like, weed's a drug. Once I developed my frontal lobe. Do you believe in the 2030 agenda? I'm unaware of it. It would have to be... If it's too schizophrenic, no, then I will not believe in it. I don't believe in most agendas. I think people, some transformer will... Oh. The fuck is this? United Nations? Well, the 23rd Agenda for Sustainable Development. People, we are determined to end poverty and hunger in all forms of dimensions to ensure... Oh, no, this ain't gonna fucking happen. Of course they want to do that. I mean, but... Shit, where's my jetpack? Look, if the government hasn't given me a fucking jetpack, I don't believe they're gonna end world hunger. I'm just gonna put... This is the easiest way to debunk shit like this. If I haven't gotten a jetpack yet, I do not believe that we will end world hunger. I actually don't understand, like, what people would even have a problem with this. Like, children not starving? That sounds like a great thing. You know what I mean? But then again, you have to take it with a great of salt. Government's jobs is to, ensure the safety of people and their balls, I'm assuming. One second, I gotta... KYC.me should sponsor me for how much I drop their fucking link. All right, where was I? But in contrast to that, from my opinion and perspective, is anyone could pull up like a schizophrenic chart or like something that they don't like understand or don't like. Everyone thinks like Bill Gates is like this fucking like demigod who's buying all this land up to do some, like, I don't believe in the New World Order shit. I don't think we need to have a shadow government for the government to be bad. The government's just bad. Well, let me rephrase that. Government's not good or bad. I mean, government's not a person. You don't need to blame a shadow. My favorite thought experiment is you don't need to blame the shadow government for being for this shadow government for bad shit existing. The government just does bad shit openly. I mean, you can FOIA request this shit. We openly do bad shit. We don't need some third world, new world, hyperinflated, elite, secret people. We just need the fucking regular. Just talk to the regular government. I can show you tons of tons of governments that are just bad, openly bad. In the United States, it's a little bit different. You get donations and then get to do bad things. You give donations, and then you can do the bad things. That's the difference. See, America is structured bad. Like, here, we will give you $100,000 in order to build all these houses, but we're going to do it on the back of slavery. Or, hey, we're going to give you all this funding so that we can do insider trading. It's all public. We all know that our government does bad shit. No shadow government needed. No one need to control them. They just do bad things on their own because there's just bad people. The biggest problem in the United States on a political sense is we don't have term limits with our branches of power besides the president, which is kind of insane. There are lifelong people have taught. You know what the thing I don't like about? I don't like slacktivism and I don't like cosplay politics. We have a lot of that in America. People complain about stuff, but they don't do anything, or they say that you can't do anything. You can't do anything, and they don't do anything. That's the problem. People don't vote. They don't think that voting does anything, and they're the ones that complain the most, and I hate those people. They don't get involved in their communities. They don't do any form of... do you see Vitalik from ETH Shield to some... Yeah, he gave like 130x to like 130 ETH, which is like $4 or something like that. And But that's because these probably building it on they're building it their payment system on the Ethereum virtual Ethereum blockchain or something, like with zero knowledge proofs. And session 2 for some weird reason. The Loki net's just garbage. I don't even know why it's even. People are like, give it a chance, guys. It's not that bad. Give the Loki net a chance. Guys, it's just the Loki net. I think Simple X is fine. Look, if Simple X does something that would break their encryption, then I would be more suspicious of it. I think Simple X is fine. I just think they're making some publicly embarrassing statements. I mean, I don't know if you were in the stream yesterday. They were saying that there's no governments that outlaw privacy. Yes, there is. There are definitely the things that the government has and will do to make privacy illegal. You don't need to be an authoritarian government to do that. Yesterday, we were reading about the Anam phone. So the United States, we have the Fourth Amendment. They're not supposed to do illegal search and seizures at all. That means including your data. They're not supposed to be able to just start spying on their citizens. That's not allowed. That's a Fourth Amendment violation in some people's eyes. Sometimes the court eyes. Sometimes the judicial branch eyes. Sometimes in the people's eyes. But the government shouldn't be doing international operations on its own people in our country. And I missed the entire stream yet. So yesterday, they pretty much say this ludicrous thing. There are tons of things that the loopholes written in the law that allow the government, the United States government at least I'm speaking of, to break the Fourth Amendment. That's why some people say that the Fourth Amendment doesn't really even exist anymore. There's not really a Fourth Amendment. Because they can just do these arbitrary loopholes that allow them to violate your rights all the time. That's the real issue, because they have this ability to, again, violate your rights and do it. So let's say there's server A, B, and C. I can even pull up. I'm trying to get better at graphs. So you have A. JavaScript is enabled, you fucking losers. Maybe it's one of those things. This is actually a super easy thing to understand. So when they were doing the sting operation, let's say this is US server. This is a US server. This is a server in Australia. And this is, there was this third server that wasn't supposed to be known about. It was discreet. And essentially, the US can't mine this. I'm oversimplifying it, by the way. They can't take this data if it's U.S. citizens and start hoarding it. So, let's say they capture, they're spying on encrypted, quote unquote, encrypted communications in Australia. It can just go down here and then go to this server. In, I think it was Lutheric, whatever it's called, whatever, it starts with an L. It's a random country that starts Lutherian or something. Lutherian then could, oopsies, we sent you some data, United States, over here. There happened to be some American data in there. It's gifted to them. There's these arbitrary loopholes that they can do that bypasses the Fourth Amendment and violates your rights. Oh, sorry, we just got a bulk amount of data and there happen to be U.S. citizens in there. Oopsies. Well, they committed a crime. Again, I'm oversimplifying it, but that's essentially the easiest way to explain it. It's crazy, actually. Oh, it did bloat. Oops. Yeah, right here. So, as of 23, multiple court cases have been brought to Australia to challenge the legitimacy of the Vietnam sting operation. United States. The first search warrants were granted by judge in 2021. Initially, no arrests were made in the United States because the Fourth Amendment interprets that prevent law enforcement from collecting messages from domestic subjects. However, the United States Department of Justice indicted 17 persons, all foreign nationals, under the Racketeering, Influence, and Corruption Act. But pretty much a sting operation accumulated with search warrants. They seized the evidence, almost 40 tons of drugs, blah, blah, blah. There was, oh yeah. The anonymous devices consist of message apps running on Android smartphones with a custom ROM called Arcane OS. They've been specifically modified. The app was obtained entering a specific calculation with the calculator app described by the developers. There was a section where they talk about the legality of it, and essentially, after a slow start, 2018, allegedly the FBI had not received any of Anonym's decrypted content yet by the summer of 2019. The method of getting around the Australian court order, the FBI needed to secure something called a mutual legal assistance treaty request with a third country where the transfer of information would be legally pursued in the national laws while much work was done to keep the identity of the third country a secret. The identity was discovered to be the press is Lutheria in 2023. The FBI worked with Lutheria through the autumn of 2019. However, the FBI alleges that the iBot, one of the servers, had a geofenced all the messages originated from the U.S. to prevent the FBI-owned iBot 2 server from the inadvertently seized messages of violating the Fourth Amendment. Well, they made a bunch of arrests. So how did they make these arrests if they didn't have access to this information? It's ludicrous. Like I said, the Fourth Amendment doesn't really exist. They can just make up it as they go. I promise. Tons of people have won court cases and been lucky where their rights were violated. But if the federal government wants you, they will get you. That's why they have the highest indictment. I think they're, what is the federal indictment rate? I think it's like above 80%. It's like insanely high. Using AI via Tor. A conviction rate of 90%. A conviction rate of 90%, those prosecuted in federal court. This indicates the federal indictment often leads to convictions rather than acquittals. 90% conviction rate. That's crazy. That's insane. That means they're taking cases they literally 100% know they're pretty much going to win. 90% is scary. We're going to look at some ways to, so, and most of the indictments rates through like cases, law enforcement, a lot of it's metadata. That's what I'm saying. They don't need the messages from Signal. I mean this with the most heartfelt perspective because I've thought about this. I've listened to other people talk about this. I've formulated my different opinions. Yeah, but they couldn't get Diddy for longer than he deserved. So dumb. I'm gonna break your fucking heart, man. Have money and shit don't happen to you. I hate to say it. That's the have it. And the thing is, like, I think the prosecutor, I believe, they pretty much picked a lawyer that was not going to lose. And the lawyer like had to see something that they could get the best sentence. That's the issue. So, that's the first problem. I mean, it's a corruption game. Uh, but on a fundamental level, my personal take is try to reduce the metadata. Mean this wholeheartedly. Signal is really, really good at making sure your messages don't leak to your carrier, your ISP, people you don't want to, etc., etc. But it doesn't completely protect you from a metadata standpoint. That's the issue. And because of that, you need to make sure that your metadata is clean as fuck. Metadata is the biggest pointer. They just need the metadata. If they can be like, oh, it's this number and this number is attached to this person because they have bad OPSEC and they have bad, not just bad OPSEC, they have bad, like digital hygiene. What up, Jay Illis? They have bad digital hygiene. It's not really Signal's fault that you have bad digital hygiene. I mean, I could use Tor and still fuck myself over. If I put my email address that I've used on the ClearNet everywhere, there needs to be people rely way too much on these services and hold them to this unbelievable standard. They will kill for metadata. Yeah, metadata is it, man. So my personal take is you need to treat the tools as their intentions. They're end-to-end encrypted communications to protect you in the worst case scenario that a data breach happens and it's just a bunch of gibberish. It ensures that there's disappearing messages so that people can't go back and try to manipulate it or see messages that they shouldn't have access to, etc., etc. You need to have your own personal responsibility of what you show and what you shouldn't show. With Graphene OS, you actually do not have to do that. It does. Their camera automatically does it. But if you want to, you can. There's not really much. A lot of apps also strip it out automatically for legal, not because they care, but it's for legal reasons. But if you want to, you still can. It's not going to hurt. It's just kind of like redundant, I guess. I would even say that you owe it to yourself to not trust these companies. Proton. People are like, Proton needs this, and yeah, there are a lot of problems with Proton. But at the end of the day, they're a business. They want to make money. They want to be profitable. They have to stay within the law. They're a legal entity business. They're not some darknet vendor sitting in the couch, whatever. I still think that Proton is a better alternative than Gmail. Like, people bring up this arbitrary idea there's no private email. Like, well, yeah, there's no private internet. There's no privacy in general. You could just keep boiling it down. I use it for extra safety. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. You can boil all this down to this arbitrary loser mentality of there is no privacy, just move in the woods, throw out your fucking lab. I just hate people like that because I think there are companies that definitely care about your privacy and they definitely care about the security. Yeah, Proton's good. I think it's a good alternative to Gmail. What do you want to use? Gmail? Or like these arbitrary like email providers where you don't know who the fuck's running it? Sure. Just use Proton. It's great. It does its job. It's an excellent service. I have problems with it, but I think that those will not be addressed. So I moved to Tutanota. And I think Tutanota is better for my use case. But if someone said, yo, what would you use for email? I wouldn't say use Gmail or Yahoo. I would be like, probably Proton. For the normies, probably Tutanota. Tutanota is good. I like them. When you try to wake people up with their privacy, they act like I'm the. I don't think necessarily. I think the problem is people have been brainwashed, like we all have at some point, that I have nothing to hide. Of course we do. Everyone has something to hide. You don't want to hand out you wouldn't hand me your password, your email, your social security, your phone number. You wouldn't give me those things to have control of because I'm a stranger. So why are you letting a $1 billion corporation that you've never met, even worse, do that to you and then sell it on the back end? That's, I try to be very rational when I talk to people in real life. And I think that hold on. I think that people damn. Where's my chat? Okay. XMR is high. Dude, when you yeah, of course. But you don't have to buy fucking a full Monero. You can buy it in fractions. Say you need 10 months of a fucking Mulvad. Just buy the equivalents of 10 months of Monero and then fucking use it. Which is awesome. I think people need, but this is what like this is what the stream is for. Is I think this is where a good place to start. If you can self-host, or if you're in a country where self-hosting is viable, encryption is your best option. It's going to be your best option, and because it adds some form of plausible deniability, and that's what's important. Plausible deniability. Oh, I know. I'm just saying like XMR is high, but I think I mean Monero is cool. The price of Monero going up is cool to like me in a perspective because I don't like losing money, but I don't think you meant it as negative, but like I don't think that I don't really care about Monero's price. On a fundamental core level, like the smallest tiny level, price is like the very small part of it, because I think what Monero offers is what's driving the price, and I mean if Monero was like $50 like a coin, I would use it as long as it's doing its job at the end of the day. But we're going to talk about SEDs. Just use it like cash. Buy it, spend it, use it. If you want to save it, save it. Fuck Zcash. Zcash stands are a bunch of. They're like Zcash stands are like fucking XRP stands. They're a bunch of cucks. They got to answer to Daddy Zcash Incorporation, and they seethe for a fucking central bank digital currency. They're like seething in their pants. They're like coming. They're like, please get more regulation. Please, I need the Federal Reserves to accept XRP. Like a bunch of fucking bitches, bro. Like, oh my god, just you go put your money in the fucking stock market at that point. I need to get water though. You ever accidentally think that you drank all your beers? And then you were like, oh wait, nope, there's still more beer. I'm good. Stay hydrated. Water and beer. You gotta drink them at the same time, so you stay hydrated as fuck. All right, we're gonna learn about self-encrypting drives more. I think they're kind of cool. So say you are self-hosting, and you live in a country where the FBI is going to knock down... Yeah, currently drinking Modelo's. Nice, based. Modelo rules. I just think of O'Doyle. O'Doyle rules, but like with Modelo's. I don't know why I correlate those two, but I just bought more Modelo. There's no such thing as... See, Modelo should accept... Somebody needs to convince Modelo to... Fire cheers. Someone needs to convince Modelo to accept Monero. Oh, fuck, dude. Please. That would be based. Oh, man, that'd be super based, actually. Hold on. I think Americans now drink more Mexican beer than Americans. Make a Reddit post about it. Guys, Modelo needs to accept. I mean, Modelo's just good. It's a decent beer. There's a really good habanero. I like habanero beers. There's some habanero beers out there, but it fucks with me. It gives me heartburn, but it's like interesting. There's not too many good American beers. Reddit are bitches though. They don't accept VPNs. That's why I pay for Reddit. I pay for it. Not actual Reddit. I pay for the what do you call it? The front end, because they got to pay for an API access. So I said, fuck, I will never use the actual Reddit app. It's dog shit. I don't like paying for shit, but I will support anyone who's doing good work in the open source world. Take my money. Especially because I use Reddit a lot. I like Reddit. Reddit's great. It's a shithole sometimes, but I get a lot of reviews. I did a lot of reviews on like certain stuff, and I mainly through Reddit. I'm like, this is amazing. All right, we're going to talk about self-encrypting drives. In this 2020 article by software company Varonis compiles 107 statistics on data breaches. Reading all of them will make you... Okay. So data breaches exposed about 4.1 billion records in the first 6 months. The United States saw 1,244 data breaches in 2018 and had 446.5 million exposed records. The average time to identify breaches in 2020 was 206 days. The average time to contain a data breach was 73 days. So think Infinity. They're pretty good. It's like a single guy too. Motherfucker, single guy is like a college... he did it as like a college project or some shit, and it was better than fucking Reddit by like a million degrees. It's like a couple bucks. It's like $2. You just need to give him like $2. And he didn't originally like force this, but or she or whoever, they didn't originally force this. They're just doing it because they have to pay for API access. Thanks, Reddit. There's other ones. I was using another one, but they kind of like stopped. They're like, we can't really do this. Data suggests that cybercrime business is $2 trillion. Cyber attack occurs every 39 seconds. 88% of data breaches are caused by human error. Now let's read some of those statistics. Consider they could mean for your business organization. Blah, blah, blah. So there are... states of digital, each which is highly vulnerable to cyber attacks: data at rest, data in motion, data in use. We've touched briefly on hardware-based full disk encryption and data at rest protection, as well FIPS 140-2 and FIPS 140-3 drives. Before in this post, we were going to zero on FIPS 40-2 associate technology that's becoming increasingly in demand for data protection. I need to switch from my iPhone soon to the Pixel 10. What do you think, Graphino? So I have a Pixel 10 that I can do testing on. I'll let you know if you want to buy it. You could get the 9 though. The 9 would be fine. But if you want to just get the most up-to-date one to get the most dollar value, I can just... I'll do some more testing on it and maybe do like a small review. So what is a self-encrypting drive? A self-encrypting drive said is a hard disk drive or solid-state drive designed to automatically encrypt and decrypt drive data without the need for user input or disk encryption software. Trusted Computing Company maintains the most widely used said encryption specifications today: TCG, Opal 2.0, and Enterprise, with the latter being more common in large-scale data centers. According to TCG, the said encryption process is designed to be transparent or completely unbeknownst to the user and the system application software. The uh, impenetrable process is aptly named transparent encryption. We'll discuss how this process is beneficial to data security in a later section. But didn't Graphene say they were going to release their own phone? Yeah, but that's not till 2026. They don't know if it's going to fall through. They are going to support the Pixels until Google stops completely the ability for them to maintain their minimum level of security requirements. That's why you got to be careful with when you're reading all this FUD that's going around, because there's a lot of it. I have a video coming out soon where we're going to talk about the drama between them and the French and why they're leaving France. Also, France is just not a good place right now. Unfortunate to be French. But the biggest problem with waiting for the next Graphene, like them doing a vendor partnership, is it might not happen. And they don't plan on not doing Pixel support. Yes, you're supporting Google, but you're using Android anyway, so you're supporting Google regardless. Android, all these forks that fork Android, or Lineage that uses Micro G or whatever, still has a lot of Google integrity intertwined into it. There's a good graph about this. Jay got the 9 based. There's a good graph about this that talks about the what do you call it? The dependencies that Micro G has on Google still. If you want truly a de-Googled phone, you buy, unironically and unfortunately, you buy a Pixel that has 7 years of security updates and patches, and then at the bare minimum, they do take their security hardware pretty high. You could wait, but just stick on iPhone for that, obviously. But they themselves don't know when it's going to happen. They talked about in maybe late 2026. It might not happen for another 5 years. It's just a thought. They found a vendor that I think that might meet the minimum standards they have and agree with their perspective. And it's not really them making their own phone. They're partnering with an OEM that's going to meet their standards, and they're going to be able to install Graphene OS on it. That's the confusion that people are getting. They think that they're making their own phone when they're just picking an already well-established OEM in order to get away from the dependency on Google. They actually have talked about this before. They're forced to use Pixels because Google's Pixels meet their requirements, their bare minimum requirements, by the way, and they said all vendors should do this. It's like a bare minimum need. This isn't like high requirements. This is like what the phone operators should be doing at the bare minimum. Think about that. Put that into back of your head, meaning that these companies aren't even doing the bare minimum. It's embarrassing, because it's like, if Graphene OS is with their small team can achieve this, imagine what large companies like Samsung and Motorola and Oppo and all these big, huge companies that have millions and trillions and tens of thousands of dollars in R&D, but they can't do the bare minimum. Because they don't care, because security doesn't make money. That's all it is. Samsungs are kind of like the next okay-ish option. If you're not going to do a Pixel, if you're not going to do Graphene OS, Samsung, but it's got to be the S series. It's got to be their expensive S series, and you got to make sure that you're getting a lot of bloat on there, and they have some of their own issues. So, what is a self-encrypting drive? A self-encrypting drive is a hard disk, blah, blah, blah. Yep, we saw that. Essentially, from the moment that the self-encrypting hard drive leaves the manufacturer and is powered on in the host system, data being written to and read from the drive is constantly being encrypted and decrypted. Additional steps to encrypt and decrypt the drive's data is not necessary. Unlike when software-based disk encryption solutions with hardware-based full disk encryption, you just turn your system on and ceteris paribus, it's business as usual. Several major technologies and data storage companies, including Samsung, Seagate, and Toshiba, have SEDs on the market today. They can be purchased commercial off the shelf for installation in an existing server or workstation, or purchased pre-installed in a solution of your choice from your trusted system manufacturer. Because of their onboard key management, general conformance to TCG Opal 2.0 or Enterprise, or the use of NIST Advanced Encryption Standards (AES) and SEDS are some of the most secure, widely available forms of data at rest protection available on the market today. Outside of the consumer markets, SEDS are being increasingly adopted by the government and military for use in mission control applications. These drives typically require additional layer of security in the form of NIST FIPS 140.2. We'll get to that requirement a little bit later. Where can I find self-encrypting drives? SEDS are a bit of a paradox in that they are simultaneously easy and difficult to find. The belief that SEDS are mostly hard to find, it depends on two things: how you interpret hard to find, and whether FIPS 140-2 drives are a requirement for your program or application. If you interpret hard to find to mean difficult to know where a particular drive is self-encrypting, you're correct. SEDS can be slightly more difficult to find than conventional non-encrypting drives because marketing for self-encrypting drives feature is not robust. If your interpret means that SEDS in general are scarce and not widely available, well, that's not entirely the case. So the seemingly conventional Samsung SSD is a perfect case in point. It's readily available for purchase on Amazon for $50, but you'll have to read the fine print to see that the drive supports AES 2-bit hardware-based encryption and compliant with TGC Opal. This is actually a great solution for commercial and industrial programs and applications that don't require FIPS 140-2 validation. You see, when it comes to HDDs and SEDS, major SSDs, major drive manufacturers are still focused on toting storage capacity, read and write speeds, and form factor first and foremost. But these will always be important features to any drive or purchase. Constantly overshadowed by these important but standard storage features, self-encrypting drive technology often takes in the promotional backseat when it comes to hard drives and solid-state drives, but it's out there and it's becoming an increasingly desirable feature and in demand for data at rest protection. FIPS 140-2 drive compliant booms. Now locating SEDS, there are FIPS 142 certified can be more of a challenge, as these require more rigorous tampering resistance. Trenton Systems, and although the current and future partnerships with innovative cybersecurity companies like Star Labs will soon include its rugged server and workstation SEDS compliant with FIPS 140-2, Opal 2.0, and AES 256-bit hardware-based encryption, which combines with our ruggedized hardware Star Labs Titanium Security Suite, and related solutions make it truly hardened, rugged computer. Look, imagine putting free BSD, hardened BSD on this. That would be very based. I should have got my own SED. They're not even really that expensive either, which is kind of awesome. And very based, actually. Let's see. That's funny. Okay. How do self-encrypting drives work? SEDS use an onboard crypto processor to encrypt and decrypt your data. They accomplish this goal by governing a unique randomized symmetric data encryption key, a DEC, that's stored in the drive itself, which the drive controller then uses to convert your files into virtually interceptable text or ciphertext. Whenever you access the data, the same data encryption key is used to decrypt the ciphertext, and presto, you now have access to your files. Unlike with software-based disk encryption, DEX never makes its way to the host system's random access memory, RAM, where it could be accessed by attacker using a cold boot or software level attack. Furthermore, because DEC is stored within the drive, its value is not known to the user. The DEC can generate a new key upon request, of course, but it's a mystery to the user and transparent to the host system, are partly what makes it so resistant to common software level attacks. Generation of a new DEC causes what known as secure erase. Cryptographic disk ensure a crypto shred during which the drive's data is rendered irrevertible, given the original device encryption key used to decrypt it no longer available. This is effectively a factory reset of the drive, and one can imagine this feature is quite useful if the drive needs to be quickly discarded or reused. In addition, because SEDs make use of dedicated process for the encryption and the decryption, you won't suffer a decline in host system performance, unlike with software-based disk encryption. With a software-based solution, the host system must use CPU that's already limited processing resources to encrypt and decrypt your data, which can be incredibly computer intensive, undertaking the result of a performance decline. SED solves this by displacing the processor power needed for the encryption and decryption onto the drive itself. Based, actually. A computer within a computer. SEDs are considered a secure form of data at rest protection, but there's one glaring caveat to the statement. Users need to set a unique password on their SEDs to have them locked when they're powered off. Basically, the drive's device encryption key is just that, a key for encrypting and decrypting the data stored on your drive. But without the establishment of a unique password or authentication key, aka, which prevents the decryption of the DEC, your data is being encrypted and decrypted, but not fully protected from authorized access. We know what you're thinking. Your data isn't being fully protected. Then what's the point of even buying a SED? Does this mean that SEDs can be hacked? Well, given that SEDs encrypts your data and stores the DEC internally, you're still being protected from common software level attacks to steal, alter, or delete your most sensitive data. AES algorithms are next to impossible to crack, after all, but without the establishment of a unique physical access to your drive's data is still a possibility. Wow, spooky. For example, if an adversary were ever to get his or her hands on your drive, very gender neutral then, they could just plug it into a system, turn it on, and access your data like they would with a conventional hard drive or SSD. Why? Because without the unique AK, the drive remains unlocked and allow for decryption of the drive's device encryption key, which in turn allows the user to access your files. Okay, but that assumes the adversary can break into your base of operations, steal your drives, and in the first place, they'll never get past your defenses, right? Well, imagine a highly disgruntled employee wants to sell some of your organized, sensitive data, your secret feet pics from the office party. So after work hours, when you've left your system unattended, they steal your SED and sell it later in the evening. And because the drive has not been properly authenticated, the data is readily accessible at the moment. It's powered on. It's being like a conventional non-encrypting HDD or SDD. Its precious data is exposed and free for the taking or deleting. Thankfully, SEDs have conformed to TGC's Opal 2.0 specifications, which are most SEDs allow for this authentication, but remember that not every SED is Opal compliant, and without proper authentication, you're essentially leaving a room full of precious valuables unlocked, not to mention setting a unique AK for each SED can be time-consuming process, especially if you're deploying numerous SEDs. Now, if you set an AK, the drive becomes locked, and you'll have to enter the key during the boot access of the content of the drive, just like you would with any operating system user account. Just like the passcode on your smartphone, entering too many incorrect passwords can temporarily lock the drive. Nonetheless, once your system is powered off, the drive auto-locks and remains locked until your authentication key is entered upon boot again. Great thing about authentication is that if someone were to take your SED and plug it into another system, they would need to know your AK to unlock the drive and access its contents. So the age-old recommendation of choosing a strong password and keeping them private continues to remain altogether an important step for securing your most sensitive data. Unfortunately, once you've unlocked the SED with the AK, it remains unlocked while the system is powered on. This includes during sleep mode and during a simple rest. Keep in mind that adversaries can boot into different environments without nixing the system power. Method totally circumvented by authentication. Given the power is still being delivered to the drive, so it's best practice to turn off your system completely whenever you're not using it. That way your drive remains locked in case of an incident. You could hypothetically set up buzzkill. So once you're done, you could just boop, bump it off, break the connection, and then it will lock the computer, or you can have it shut down or completely wipe it. I think Graphene OS is said that this is actually, I believe the developers say that this is one of the core security benefits of the Graphene OS phone is because when it redoes that auto reboot, it puts your data at rest and encrypts it, and it's in its most strongest secure state. Versus you have before unlock and then after unlock. The before unlock is generally the most secure and strongest state of your data. And that's important to know, and why it's good to have an auto reboot schedule so it turns it off and forces it. And then you could hypothetically set up a duress pen. So like if you put it in, it deletes your phone, and then you could have the two-step authentication. How do I know if my drive is self-encrypting? Because self-encrypting drive technology isn't considered a major feature by many drive manufacturers. It's possible that you purchased a set and don't know it. If you're already in the process of an HDD or an SDD, and you believe there are self-encrypting drives, there's a few things you can do to find out that's actually the case. If you purchase a standalone HDD or SDD, the packaging instructions or usual manual will likely tell you the drive is equipped with self-encrypting. If you no longer have the package instructions or user manual, you can research the drive model online to find out. What level of encryption do self-encryption provide? Sets TCG Opal 2.0 and 128-bit block size with 128-bit and 256-bit AES keys. The latter two numbers refer to the actual key length and used to encrypt and decrypt your data. The longer the key, the more difficult the encryption is to crack, as you can imagine, due to the sheer key length and size of the block. Set employing these algorithms next to impossible to crack. Seriously, it would take 1 billion years, and this is why hackers focus more on more physical access or obtaining authentication keys. This is how said AES encryption works in simple terms. Your data gets divided into blocks according to each established block size. So the case of TCG Opal 2.0, that's 128 bits or a 4 by 4 array of 16 bytes or 18 bits per byte. From there, each bit of data is replaced with another according to the established key length. 128-bit or 256-bit with new keys called a round key, being generated with each round of encryption for an added layer of bit substitution. This makes them even more abstract and intricate. All of this happened as the columns and rows of 4x4 arrays are being shifted around and mixed. At the end of the fascinatingly complex process, you have a ciphertext. Decryption just reverses this process, returning the ciphertext into the recognizable format of data you requested. What's the difference between ASC compliant, FIPS 142 compliant, and OPAL compliant? Sets are sometimes marked as AS compliant and FIPS 142 point compliant and OPAL compliant, so you might be wondering what's the difference and whether it's important to comply with all of these. FIPS 140-2 is usually required for military government applications transmitting controlled unclassified information, so if that doesn't apply to you, just look for OPAL 2.0 compliant drives. Both AES 128-bit and 256-bit encryption algorithms are nearly impossible to crack. Remember, billions of years, so either the choice is sustainable, but 256-bit encryption is technically more secure. This is what I've always said. 256 military grade encryption is kind of like one of those things that gets touted, but like 128 is, I think, uncrackable in 2025, obviously still. It's still used. You can still use it. As long as you're encrypting your shit, it don't matter. That's the most important part. I would even say that's the part. That's the part. Is encrypt your drives. It's pretty awesome. Pretty based, actually. And you can even get these for like your operating system. I would even say that if you're gonna self-host, like we can even look up. I don't know if Linux works with Opal though. That's the problem. I know these motherfuckers sell it. Kangaroo is pretty awesome. Big expensive though. Like this 500 gigs, you better have a lot of secrets in there. It would cost you $500. It's like 50 cents a gig. That's expensive. Well, a dollar gig would be, yeah, 50 cents a gig. But you can get other ones that are like not super expensive. You could even put your crypto keys in here. Access denied. Average Tor user moment. Servo bit. Cloudflare needs to know I'm human. What's this cost? Oh, I think Opal 2 doesn't have Linux support. Does it? Oh, nice. Sedutil, which allows for hardware-based encryption to use it. Nice. It is. I could have sworn it was not supported. That's based. All right. We can look at. We're gonna look at. Oh. I read information on the Tor project and learned that Tor has two main concepts, channel and circuit. When a client creates a circuit for the first time, Tor's client first establishes a TLS channel and then builds one more circuit within it. So it's like this. Hello, 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 Google. Inside the channel, Tor's client uses the node RSA public key to encrypt an AES session key, completing the Diffie-Hellman key exchange. God, how this thing works still just blows my mind. It's such a cool concept. It's probably my favorite encryption learning about besides hologram. Homomorphic encryption. The Diffie-Hellman key exchange is a method that allows two parties to securely establish a shared secret over an insecure channel without directly transmitting the key itself. This technique is fundamental in cryptography, establishing secure communication by using symmetric encryption after the key exchange. It's fucking crazy. It's just cool. Two arrives at a common secret key without passing the common secret key across the public channel. Diffie-Hellman exchanges is a mathematical method of securely generating a symmetric private key over a public channel that was once insecure. That is just such an awesome concept. It's very cool. People that know like this kind of math is like very cool. We don't really get stuff like, it's very rare that something like excites me in terms of like usability. It's just like, not really. Some things like that aren't impressive kind of excite me, but this is impressive and it excites me. It's even cool that because it's just like who thinks of this? Who be sitting there thinking? But that's what they do. The building circuits do not use TLS. A channel is one layer of TLS encryption between each pair of nodes, like the gray part in the diagram, and a single channel can carry multiple circuits. A circuit consists of three-layer SES encryption, represented by the red, green, and blue parts in the diagram. It does not rely on TLS. Therefore, it can be said that Tor employs 4 layers of encryption in total. 1 TLS layer in the channel and 3 AES layers for the circuit, so it can say that it has 4 layers of total encryption. I want to know if my understanding is correct. Probably yes, correct. I'm not clear about the channel 1 part in the upper left corner of the application. Before the Tor client builds TLS connection for the whole Tor chain, but destination Google, the Tor chain starts with the client TLS destination. Well, the channel is used for the client in communication with directory service. I forgot to sign it. Does it have something problem? Someone says probably yes. Oh. Who the fuck do you work for? Buzz Lightyear. Today we're going to do a technical deep dive into how Tor really works, not to mention of how Tor access, no mention of what Tor might be on. This is how Tor works. Without speculation, without exaggeration of what Tor is, just a deep dive into the technical stuff how Tor works. This article is designed to be read by anyone with zero knowledge on networking of Tor. Let's dive right in. What is Tor? The United States Naval Research Laboratory developed the Onion Ring Protocol, Tor, to protect U.S. intelligence communications online. Ironically, Tor has been seen in widespread use by everyone, even those organizations which the U.S. Navy fights against. Is Brave browser scanning my brain waves? Probably. This isn't Brave, though. You may know Tor as the hometown of online illegal activities, a place where you can buy any drug you want, and a place for all illegal things. Tor is much larger than what the media makes it out to be. According to King's College, much of Tor is legal. When you normally visit a website, your computer makes a direct TCP connection with the web servers. Anyone monitoring your network interconnection could read the TCP packet. They can find out what websites you're visiting and your IP address, as well as what port you're connecting to. If you're using HTTPS, no one will know what the message said, but sometimes all the adversary knows is what you're connecting to. Using Tor, your computer never communicates with the server directly. Tor creates a twisted path of 3 nodes, Tors, and sends the data via that circuit. The core principle of Tor is onion routing, which is a technique for anonymous and secure communication over a public network. In onion routing, messages are encapsulated in several layers of encryption. Onions have layers. Shrek. True. Shrek must have used Tor. So does a message going through Tor, each layer in the Tor is encryption? You are adding layers of encryption to a Tor message as opposed to just adding one layer of encryption. This is why it's called the onion routing protocol, because it adds layers to each stage. The resulting onion, fully encapsulated message and then transmitted through a series of computer networks is called onion routers, with each computer is peeling away a layer of the onion. The series of computers is called a path. Each layer contains the next destination. The next route of the packet has to go. When the final layer is decrypted, you'll get the plain text non-encrypted message. The original author remains anonymous because each node in the network is only aware of the preceding and following nodes in the path, except for the first node that doesn't know who the sender is but does know the final destination. This has led to attacks where large organizations with expressive resources run servers to attempt to be the first and last node in the network. If the organization server is the first node and it knows who sent the message, if the organization server is the last node, it knows the final destination of where the message says. Now we have a basic cover of Tor. Let's start exploring how each part of Tor works. Don't worry if you're confused. Every part of Tor will be explained using diagrams. We love them. We love diagrams. I mean, it's the internet. You can, even if I was, it wouldn't matter. It's the internet. Everyone uses the internet. Cops use the internet. Firemen use the internet. Prostitutes use the internet. You, unfortunately, are using the internet. Anyone can use it, buddy. It's free. I don't know, but this conversation is quite boring. The original author and question mark on the left remains anonymous unless you are the first path to the node and you know who sent the packet. Anonymous, predecessor, you, successor, and packet. No one knows what data is being sent until it reaches the last node in the path, who then knows, but the data doesn't know who sent it. The second to last node is the path doesn't know what the data is, but the last node in the path does. This has led to attacks where large organizations with expensive resources create Tor servers to aim to be the first and last. Tor itself. Tor needs a lot of users to create anonymity. If Tor was hard to new users, it wouldn't be adopted so quickly. Because new users won't adopt it, Tor becomes less anonymous. By this reasoning, it's easy to see why the usability isn't just a design choice of Tor, but a security requirement to make Tor more secure. What Tor isn't. Tor is not completely decentralized peer-to-peer system like many people believe it to be. If it was completely peer-to-peer, it wouldn't be very usable. Tor requires a set of directory servers that manage and keep the state of network given. ArchLinux is a PSYOP ran by the CIA. Yeah, they kind of are. Thanks, appreciate you too. You have a good night as well. Tor is not secure against end-to-end attacks. End-to-end attacks is where the entity has control of both of the first and last node in the path. As talked about earlier, this problem the cybersecurity experts have yet to solve. Tor does not have a solution to this. This Tor does not hide the identity of the sender. In 2013, the final exams period at Harvard, student tried to delay the exam by sending a fake bomb threat. The student used Tor and Gorilla Mail, a service which allows people to make disposable email address to send a bomb threat to the school. The student was caught, even though he took precautions to make sure he wasn't caught. Gorilla Mail sends an outgoing IP address of the header along with the email that's sent, so the receiver knows where the original email came from. With Tor, the student expected the IP address to be scrambled, but the authorities knew it came from a Tor exit node to keep a list of all nodes in the directory service. So the authorities simply just looked for people who were accessing the Tor within the university at the time the email was sent. Tor isn't an anonymous service, but it is a service that can be encrypt all traffic from A to B, so as long as the end-to-end attack isn't performed. Tor is also incredibly slow, so using it for Netflix isn't a good... Oh, okay. Thought he was going to give me a VPN sponsorship real quick. They can't see inside your packets, they don't know what you're talking about other than the VPN. VPN is the man in the middle. It knows who you are, who you're talking to, depending on the VPN traffic. VPN also decrypts your packets. Slow, really fast. Encrypted traffic normally encrypts traffic. Protects you from everything, even the service itself. Protects you only from local adversaries or ISPs. Requires little trust, requires lots of trust. Incredibly hard to block. Can be blocked easily, especially during the law. Now that we have a good handle of what Tor is, let's explore onion routing. Given the network above, we're going to simulate what Tor does. Your computer is the one on the far left. You're sending a request to watch Stranger Things on Netflix, because what else is to use Tor to use Tor? The path of nodes is called the circuit. Later on, we're going to look into how circuits work. We start off with the message we haven't set yet. We need to encrypt the message. N times, where N is how many times the node is the path. We encrypt it using AES and asymmetric keys crypto system. The key is generated by the Diffie-Hellman. Don't worry, we'll discuss this all later. If there are 4 nodes in the path minus your computer, so we'll encrypt it 4 times. Awesome. Well, that's SEDS, guys, and encryption and how does Tor work. We're going to finish that tomorrow. I've given an hour and 14 minutes. It is definitely time to touch grass and look outside. Make sure to argue in the comments what you think the best type of bread is. I definitely think it's, that one type of bread that everyone loves. And most importantly, the last thing you want to do is to kiss and tell your airplane pilot goodnight. Thank you.